grew up in socialist Hungary, and I vividly remember the stories I heard from my uncles and from my father, stories about the war, gulags, Stalinist atrocities, and the uprising in '56. My father was a young man when he saw the worst of the '50s. This is a farmer's almanac from 1952 when he was in the army. It is saturated with the most outrageous lies, not just propagandistic exaggerations, but insanely absurd distortions of reality. Well, the tasteful coloring is an artistic touch from the little me. I was born into the consolidated post-56 regime and enjoyed socialism in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. This is my own army indoctrination handbook, an excellent attempt at brainwashing. Now, this one is a sophisticated masterpiece of propaganda perfected by the soft dictatorship of the Kada regime. You can tell by my further artistic interpretations as to how receptive I was to the teachings of the Commissar. Well, this continued at Teachers College, where everybody had to join the Organization of Young Communists. Well, this is my little red catechism. This has everything a young communist has to know. Now, predictably, I got in trouble with the authorities and escaped to the freedom of the West in 1986. In Canada, I witnessed the country's steady transformation and drift to the left. As a teacher, every time something came down from the school board that smelled like neo-Marxism, I had a disturbing feeling of déjà vu. And it didn't even have to come from the school board. In the 90s, social justice warriors and advocates of various noble progressive causes did whatever they wanted, unopposed. You see, they were always doing something good for society. I tried to protest and point out the problem. Using Marxist methods to improve the world leads to the exact dystopia I had already experienced. I bumped into walls and learned to say nothing. I needed to feed my family. I needed my job. After the millennium, problems in the schools got worse, and during the Trudeau years, it became insane. At my high school, I regularly cringed at the absurd things that the revolutionary woke leadership saw as completely normal and desirable. It wasn't just fixing this, changing that. It was an onslaught, complete dominance, and zero tolerance for heretical thoughts. The slightest hint that I might have an alternative view on something froze communication, and the red flag went up. Was I that dangerous? Authors, filmmakers, and historians have been busy processing the events of the 20th century. There's excellent material at our fingertips to learn from. A big-budget movie from 2017, The Death of Stalin, grabs the viewers because it is so immersive. Film is a more effective medium than perhaps volumes of detailed descriptions in history books. But I have that too. I found these treasures. These are Time Life books. They focus on facts and hold back on analysis and interpretation. In the last 40 years, I have digested a lot of new information, and perhaps I even matured a bit. I think it is fair to say that I have a deeper understanding as I reread some of the books from my younger days. Recently, I went through Orwell's Animal Farm, and these are my thoughts. I'm not saying anything new with this, but it struck me again how unbelievably accurate the story is historically. Orwell perfectly captures the nature of Marxist ideology that accelerates the pigs' transformation into corrupt oppressors. Napoleon and his bunch are moving fast. Squealer, the propagandist, is very quick to explain things away. I've seen it firsthand. Similarly, the Hungarian comrades were on top of their game. The story is not just a description of Stalin's communist regime. Animal Farm is universally applicable to all socialist experiments and progressive movements. Marxism is an adaptive poison, and it manifests itself in various guises. The book offers food for thought, material for further inquiry into the psychology of the characters. I have a lot of unanswered questions now. What would explain that the guilty animals volunteer for their own execution? This happened during the communist show trials. Or suggestible animals altering their memory to feed on lies. I've seen people doing it. As I was reading the book, names and faces popped up in my mind. People from my past, various activists from not so long ago, and of course their mindless followers. It's not over. The poison of Marxism continues to linger around. Why? Why aren't we done with this already? I'm glad to see that the book is still taught in high schools. English teachers hope to get good mileage out of it, but unfortunately, many kids don't have enough background information from their history classes. Now, history teachers would have to be really good to get through to affluent suburban bubble kids and teach them something meaningful that's transformative, or at least an eye-opener. How much do Canadian kids know about Stalin's terror? How well do they understand it? It would be hard to get data on this, but I guess it's a hit and miss at best.